But thank you so much for coming on today. Could you start by introducing yourself and what you get up to?
Hello, thank you for inviting me to be here. So I'm Jo Haywood and I'm a hairdresser. I work in London, in Kensington in a salon, and I offer signing hair appointments for the deaf and the hard of hearing. So rather than like scribbling down notes and like, struggling to understand each other, I speak to them in British Sign Language, which helps so much with the consultation and also for them to feel confident and comfortable throughout the whole time that they're in the salon with me.
That's amazing. So, what is the benefits of being an inclusive hairdresser?
Well, just making people feel good is what we all want to do, right? As hairdressers, making people happy, making people feel confident is literally why we do what we do. And by being able to be inclusive, that just opens up the gates to be able to do that for more people in so many other ways. So that's the main thing that I think. And also just like creating some space for people, giving them somewhere to go that they can feel fully understood and included and like considered, that's going to make them feel so good, so comfortable. So yeah.
No, that sounds amazing. I think as well, it's really important to note that, no matter what disability or what they're feeling, everyone wants to feel good with their own hair.
Yeah, definitely. And like just I've heard from them so many times, like before, when they've been to other salons and they have had to scribble down notes or like try and point at pictures and stuff, it just doesn't make them feel confident in the stylist either. Like not whether they're going to do a good job, but just whether they've understood the brief as such. Do you know what I mean? Like they're sitting there thinking, did they understand which part of the picture I was saying I liked or not? Like if they had any questions about my style, are they just guessing because they don't know how to ask me? So yeah, it just makes them feel more part of it. And also to be able to, we're also picky with our hair. There's so many little things that we like or don't like, and they can actually express that. So yeah, it really just helps.
Sounds amazing. So, I guess the big question today is, how can people make their hairdressing services more accessible? Now, obviously, you have a qualification in BSL, and not everyone maybe has the time and the money to do that. But what would you recommend?
Yeah, definitely. It takes a lot of time and a lot of like patience to learn a whole language, which I fully understand. Not everyone is either willing to do or has time or money to do. But there's so many things you can do other than that. So like even just thinking on your online business, so like creating online bookings, which a lot of places have now, which is great, because being able to ring up, call a salon isn't necessarily accessible for everybody. So booking online is a big one. And then also like on your Instagram and social media, everyone's making videos and reels, putting captions on them is the difference between it being an accessible piece of content for them or not. And also for you, like you're literally losing viewers or followers or whatever because you're not making it accessible. So by putting captions on is such a big help, and things like that online. But in the salon, you could definitely even just learn like one sign like hello or welcome, just break the ice and make them feel instantly like at ease, like, okay, this person does really care and they're really trying to connect as much as they can. I would say the best thing to help with the consultation would be, these people are either going to book online, maybe on through your DMs or whatever. Um, Definitely have a little consultation, a written one, maybe through your DMs and say, like I've seen you booked, thanks for booking for the half head highlights or whatever, whatever it is they've booked, and maybe get them to send you a picture of their current hair and their goal hair, have a little type back and forth because that's a really easy way to communicate. Where you can also take a minute to look at it and think before you respond if it doesn't make sense or any questions. There's no pressure, no time pressure, no communication pressure. So yeah, by doing a little pre-consultation before meeting each other, everyone will feel more at ease. Everyone will have much more of an idea of the end goal and what the hair is meant to look like and where you're starting. Even talking things like prices, you wouldn't want there to be any sort of uncertainty or any awkwardness around the pricing, because you feel like you can't convey it properly, maybe in person. So, or like, writing down notes back and forth, you might be fully booked and feel stressed that you don't have time and therefore rush it. So, just taking the time beforehand will definitely help make everyone feel more comfortable.
No, definitely. And I think as well as key to note is that there's less likely to be a miscommunication or like, you slightly do a treatment wrong, or maybe they actually want a really specific kind of style or coloring. And it's always brilliant to be able to kind of really solidify that before maybe they even step foot in the salon first.
Yeah, but I mean, learning sign language is really like accessible. There's lots of things online you can follow. You don't have to go to a college course and pay loads of money and go once a week or whatever the deal is. You know, that I post on my Instagram. I was talking to some hairdressers recently, and they really like into it. They want to learn about sign language, and like you say, don't necessarily want to sign up to a full blown course. Now I'm no teacher or anything. I'm just sharing what I know, and I've been doing like a one sign a day on my Instagram stories, which I've added to a little highlight. So just one sign a day is so easy to look at and retain. And then before you know it, you know, by the end of the year, hopefully people will have learned, you know, a fair few signs. And even just being able to sign, I started with the obviously like the basic things like how to introduce yourself or how to ask certain things. You know, just being able to do a little bit, it might get you out of a little hole if you're in a bit of a stuck situation where you don't know what each other's saying, or it just makes it, you know, you've put in that extra effort. I honestly think it's such a fun language to learn, to use whether you're talking to someone who is deaf or hard of hearing, or like in the salon. I've been teaching some of the guys there, like some of my colleagues, and every time Craig comes in, he literally says, "Good morning, how are you?" And I'm like, "See, so good, so nice." And then by doing stuff like that as well, you learn, and it all sinks in so much quickly and so much more. It's just enjoyable.
Definitely. I think it's really amazing as well because obviously the more and habit you get about it, you know, it can be used in other bits of life, or even like you end up using it, you know, my example being that I use some Macton like when I'm going out with friends in the club, because then you can kind of tell where they're going instead of shouting in your ear and then causing more ear damage. You could
Oh,
just be
it's so
like, yeah, I'm
true.
going off to the loo. Like, are you coming? Are you staying here? And it's such a huge difference, and I think honestly should be in everyday life anyway.
Honestly, it's so helpful. Whether you're like, even if you're just outside of a building, you know, like signing through a window is so much more easy. Like say somewhere noisy. Yeah, honestly, I think that it is. I think that I read somewhere that they are going to be teaching it in secondary schools, or like taking
Mm.
maybe it's like an option for a GCSE or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's so good because, like I say, you can use it in your life in general. Um, and even better to use it with people that's their first language and make them feel included in society more, because
Mm.
also like going to the hairdressers is such a, like obviously you're going there for the physical result of your hair being done, but also it's like such a social atmosphere, you know, like sometimes maybe that's the only conversation someone's had that day if they're working from home or whatever, you know, you don't know what they're doing in their life, maybe they're a bit lonely or they've got problems, and they, you know, how many people like tell us all their life dramas. You know, it's nice to have someone to talk to, so it does really help. And especially for someone that is deaf that's maybe going around where I work in London, like all day, no one's signing to them. You know, this is like the first interaction that they've had that day. And if they know they're going somewhere where they're going to be able to sign and feel connected to someone and understood, they're probably going to really look forward to that. And, you know, like that's going to really make their day. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it just as well just probably makes them feel so much more at ease because they, you know, if they have other coping methods, they have to deal with people who don't sign. You know, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of effort, and at the end of the day, you're at the salon to relax and get pampered and have a bit of a makeover.
Yeah, exactly. And also, what I love to do in the salon is like, say I have someone in my chair that's signing. We're quite a social, friendly bunch, and like I'll chat to the other stylists and their clients, and they'll chat. And sometimes everybody's laughing, and I think to myself, I would hate for that person that can't hear what's going on to sit there and wonder, like, why are they laughing? What have I missed? Are they laughing at
Mm.
me? Like, what's going on? So
Yeah.
what I always try and include them in the wider conversation that's going on. And if there's a joke, be like, oh, this is what they said, blah blah blah, and then they'll laugh, and then they'll again like feel part of the group, and then they'll have something clever to say back, and that makes everyone else laugh, you know. So otherwise I'd just be sitting there so lonely, and so
Mm.
yeah, maybe even thinking, are they laughing at me? Like I'm sure they get that. I'm sure everyone, whether you're hearing or not, feels like if you see someone that's whispering or laughing, you think, God, is that me? Did I do that? So again, like making them feel at ease, and you know, I'm just making it the more and more sign language appointments I do, the less of a thing it is, if you know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
it's just a bit of a normal thing now in our salon. Like if someone comes in and they see me signing, at first obviously they're like, oh, that's different, that's cool, and then they come in again and maybe I have another sign language appointment and they're just like, oh, there she is doing her sign language, like no big deal, you know. And I want it to be like that, almost like any other appointment, so that they don't feel sort of one out, sort of one of a kind, you know. What's the term, like I don't know what the word is. You know, like, don't want them to feel singled out. That's the word.
Yes.
So yeah.
That was absolutely amazing. Well, is there anything else or any other bits of advice you'd like to add for any hairdressers listening out there?
I would say as long as you're approaching everything with kindness, an open mind, no matter how much you can sign, someone like they'll be able to read just who you are. So if you're happy to have someone in your salon that can sign, if you're happy to learn a little bit, that will go a long way. But yeah, just start, just start welcoming everybody in. And honestly, because when I first started, I was not as good as signing as I am now, and I'm still not amazing. Like I think I watch back videos and think, oh, I don't know if that was the right sign that I just did. And I was so nervous. But even then, when I started, and that was like maybe 3 years ago now, and yeah, I started signing. I had my first client, and I was thinking, I just don't know whether they're going to be like, she doesn't even know what I'm saying or whatever. So, and then the more I did it, the more I learned. Like learning, you learn so much through people. The more appointments I had, the more confident I felt. And then they'll sign something I don't know, and everyone's so nice. Like if I had to say, oh, like stop them, like sorry, what was that? They'll like finger spell the word, and they'll like basically teach me a new sign. So that makes me a better signer, makes me more confident. So you don't have to be perfect to start, is what I'm trying to say, because I definitely still am not, and definitely wasn't at the beginning.
Well, it is like learning any kind of language, isn't it? It's going to take time before you're technically very fluent or can use it on a regular basis all the time, sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And the more you do it, the better you get. And that's like everything in life, isn't it?
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for coming on today and chatting with me.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.